What's good, family? How y'all doing? Today, we have another edition of Everything with the Landors, Military Mondays edition. I would like to welcome my wife, Miss Crystal Landor. She'll be joining me on this Military Monday because usually it's me, myself, solo. But she's joining me today. And today's topic will be the pros and cons of being dual military. Now, disclaimer, me and her are not dual military, but I have a lot of friends that are dual military. And being a human resources specialist that I am, 42 Alpha, I know all the benefits that comes with being dual military, but I also know some negatives that come with being dual military. Now, this is not a video to persuade you to be one or the other. We're just giving you the pros and cons to say, hey, I'm military. Should my spouse, wife, husband join? Or, my spouse is military. Should I join? So this is just a few things that are good and a few things that are bad. So.
And I'm in this video this Monday because we have talked about pretty much all of these things because I was considering joining the military.
Correct.
So I have a question for you guys. Leave down in the comment if you think his wife should join
Yeah, a
the
little background.
army.
She was gonna be part of the National Guard before I even thought about Army. This was before I probably even met her.
Yeah.
She had thought about being National Guard. I'll save my comments for that later. But we'll jump into the pros first. So the first thing we have is when you're both military, then things are a little bit more relatable when it comes to the job force or when it comes to your workforce or when it just comes to your job, period. Because I feel like that's where a lot of couples, as far as me being in the units I've been in and listening to people, I'm talking about from the highest ranking officer or enlisted men to the lowest. A lot of times the spouse don't understand that lifestyle, like that lifestyle of, hey, listen, I've been told I'm on this detail, or I gotta do this, and I won't be home for the next 2 days. A lot of spouses don't understand that, and which is relatable because if you don't come from, if your parents were never in the military, then of course when your spouse comes home and like, hey, I got this detail, I ain't gonna be home tonight. The first thing is, well, why not? Why can't you be home? Like, can they really keep you? They can't keep you. You must be doing something.
Right.
And that's not the case. Like, when you take all commands from the tower. So when someone says, hey, you on this detail, or hey, you got staff duty, you're gonna be here 24 hours from 09 this Tuesday morning to 09 Wednesday morning. You're gonna be here, and you cannot leave.
Another thing I would say is, as far as when being more relatable, I know when he come home or he's frustrated about something and he just want to go off on a rant. Sometimes I just listen if I don't understand it, but sometimes I'm curious or I'm trying to understand like what's going on. So I'll stop and be like, well, what this mean and what's that,
Right.
and it's a lot of military terms that he talking to me and I'm not understanding what they are.
Correct.
And if you are doing military, I mean, it's easier to vent and stuff because when you just going off on a rant or you upset or something,
Correct.
and you talking to your spouse, they'll already know the lingo.
Because regardless
what's going
of the
on.
MOS, the Army is the Army.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're in the Air Force, you're in the Navy, you're in the Marines. The Marines are the Marines. The Navy is the Navy. The Air Force is the Air Force.
Yep.
Like, no matter the MOS, you're going to have something where it's like, hey, I got to do this. And it sucks. Like,
Right.
And sometimes your spouse will understand that. But if you're dual military, then they'll at least have that experience of being like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, number two for the pros is the same schedule. Yes. You be on the same schedule for your times off, which is a big thing.
And that's for the most part. Like, don't get me wrong, training takes him to schedule. So, say, there's a 3-day coming up or a 4-day. When I say that, that means
so that was on a con side.
Well, I'll just say, okay, well then I'll wait for that. But same schedule for the most part.
But the same schedule correct. For the most part, like for
holidays,
the most part,
weekends, stuff like that.
Yeah, for the most part, you have the same schedule. You both will probably have PT at the same time.
Correct.
From 06:30 to
7:30 or
8 o'clock.
if you're in the
And then you
82nd.
will have the same
All the way.
lunchtime.
H minus.
You will have the same pretty much lunch schedule, which is an hour and a half at the same time. And then
Or 30 minutes if you're in 2P. Shout out 2505 Parachute Infantry Regiment.
Oh my God. Or you will have and you will probably get off at the same time. So it's pretty much the same schedule unless told otherwise if you in certain units. Blah blah blah. But it's
And that's
easier.
No shade. That's no shade to 2505. I love 2505. I just moved to 307th. I'm in the engineering battalion. But I love 2505. It's my first ever battalion. Shout out.
Okay. But for me, one of the things that I mentioned with we have the same schedule when I was thinking about joining. We have the same schedule. It'll be easier to plan vacations because right now we're kind of on a different schedule with my job and him working. We're on two totally different sides, but I always work weekends, so he's off. The holidays that he gets off, I have to work. So it'll just kind of be easy to plan vacations and take trips and things like that. And that was one of the pros for us when I was looking to join.
Definitely, because for the last 2 years you've had to work on Thanksgiving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, Thanksgiving is cool, but it sucks when I'm at home and she's at work. And our Thanksgiving is when she gets off at 8 o'clock, and now we're eating Thanksgiving meals.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So the next thing, you can kind of touch on the next thing.
Yes, the Married Army Couples Program, MACP is what we call it in the Army or in the S1 world. So basically what this program is if you are dual military, Army exclusive. I don't know what the Navy, Air Force, Marines has, but Army exclusive. If you are married to another Army service member, then you enroll in the Married Army Couples Program. Basically what this does is HRC, which is the big Army, big human resource of the Army. When you're enrolled in their program, say I come up for assignment, so it's time for me to PCS. Well, when my name comes up, my wife's name will come up. So it's like if she was in the Army, so it's like, okay, hey, it's time for Sergeant Landor to leave Fort Bragg, leave the 82nd. We need him to go to Fort Stewart, Fort Carson, wherever. Well, when that comes up, it'll say, oh, hey, he's married. Sergeant Landor or Specialist Landor, whatever she would be at the time. Crystal, female type, that's his spouse. We need to look for a spot for her. So whatever her MOS is, they will look for a spot in that same duty position or that same duty station for her. So and they were finding and say, okay, cool. Both of y'all are going to Fort Stewart. Both of y'all are going to Fort Hood, wherever. The only time it really comes into, I'll save that. I'll save that. But there is a negative, but it really depends on what your MOS is.
Yeah, and it's easier once you're the same as when we was thinking about it. Even when I was joining or in the process of joining the National Guard, my MOS was going to be 42 Alpha, and any other MOS that I had a few more, like 92 Yankee, which is supply. That's pretty much everywhere. That MOS is not a MOS where
it's limited. Like
limited.
Some MOSs are limited.
It's not a limited.
If you're an 11 Bravo, you're only going to go to an infantry unit. There's no other place you can go.
So us applying for that program, we pretty much can go anywhere together. Correct. Now him being airborne, that would make it limited because I wasn't considering going airborne. So I can pretty much go anywhere to
but
any
it still
duty
works
station.
out because all the duty stations that are airborne, they have leg units. So no matter what, if she's a 42, no matter where I go.
I wasn't talking about my end. I was talking about like
your end.
Like I can go anywhere, but he can't go anywhere. Correct. So yeah, I would have to pretty much go where they send him.
Correct.
But the next thing is A pro is the retirement.
Retirement.
Ooh.
Yes. Now, if you're a new soldier, you don't have this benefit. You're a blended retirement all the way,
I
bro.
will be blended
And I am
retirement.
sorry for you. Me, I was one of the last people to come in that had the option to choose between blended retirement and pension. Pension all the way. 20 years, and I get paid for the rest of my life. So I mean that's always good. Now it's blended retirement. It's not bad because you
Yeah,
can withdraw it before you reach 65.
yeah.
It's penalties as far as any other type of 401
It's like
K
any
type
like a
plan.
civilian job who
Correct.
offer 401ks.
But
That's what it's like.
if you came in earlier, you and your spouse both have that pension. Y'all do them 20 years, y'all getting paid for the rest of y'all life.
Yeah. So
Big
if I
odds.
was to join, I wouldn't have that option, but I can still retire early with him if I choose to.
Correct.
When he make his 20, he get paid for the rest of his life. If he want to do over, he can do that too.
Correct.
So
correct.
the next con
is pay. Pay is the biggest reason why, I'm not gonna lie to you. Pay is the biggest reason why two soldiers get married. I'll break it down for you like this. So in a previous video you saw that I talked about all the benefits that you get for being a married soldier within the army. Now, think about this. All the benefits that you get. BH, basic housing allowance. Basic subsistence allowance, which is groceries. Now, times that by 2.
Yep.
Now, there's different stipulations being S1. I know all the stipulations, but say me and her are both in the army.
Mm-hmm.
Me and her have 2 kids together, 3 all together.
And this is based off if we both came in
Correct.
together as E4s.
Correct.
That's what we based it
So
off of.
now we get our base pay. Now BH, we're both entitled to BAH, being that we have dependents because when you're a dual military, if you have no kids, you are not dependents of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own life insurance. She has her own life insurance. She doesn't need me for anything. I don't need her for anything. We're
Right.
both service members, so there's no dependency.
Right.
But children, now we have dependents. Now the higher rank, when you have children, gets BH with dependents. The lower rank gets BH without dependents, which is still a lot of money.
So just think about it. He would get BAH with dependents, and that would be 1233. I would get BAH without dependents, and it would be like nine.
It's like 970 something.
So that's just for housing allowance. That's just a housing allowance.
Correct.
Then we both would get BAS, which
correct.
is 367.
Correct.
And then we both would get our clothing allowance per year.
Correct.
And then he would get jump. I wouldn't get that because I wouldn't be airborne if I went in. And that's pretty. We both get all the benefits and things like that.
And you gotta just think about it, like if you and your spouse both are like, hey, we're gonna be in this 20 years, the higher y'all rank, the more money you're gonna get. Like,
but based off an E4, both of us being E4 in the army, it would be a little over $100,000 that we will make.
Yeah, a little bit
a year.
So we talked about all the good. Let's talk about some of the bad. So the first thing we're gonna hit is being deployed together, because it may happen. The army tries to prevent it where one parent is at least stateside, not deployed, but sometimes you can't help it, especially if the United States is in direct conflict with another country. Right now, it probably wouldn't happen because most deployments we're doing is just regular rotations to Afghanistan, and that's about it. But if we get into Russia or any other country, best believe there's going to be some dual military households that's, hey, I'm getting deployed here, you're getting deployed there. And that's when, you just have to have your stuff in order where it's like, hey, the kids can go here, and because deployments are 9 months. So that's damn near a year of, hey, kids are going to be going to school here for basically a year.
Yeah. And that's our biggest concern is us, possibly getting deployed together. But another kind, because they have people that are different. If you both are single with no kids, you may want to get deployed together, and you don't. You're not getting employed. You get one stays back, and then one gets deployed, and you may want to both get deployed together, because you don't have any other responsibilities. It's just you and your spouse. So that may be a con for you. But our con that was on our list was basically getting deployed together, because we would rather one person go and then one person stay back with the kids, so that we won't have to kind of depend or put any extra responsibility on anyone else watching our two babies. So
Correct.
um
Second con,
well, that was two right there, two separate cons, but
as far as like opposite schedule.
yeah.
Okay, well then we're going to 3. Now, depending on your MOS, remember we talked about the Married Armies Couples Program. Now, if she would be a 42 alpha, we would not have that problem. But say you're a special MOS where you can only go so many duty stations, and I'm an MOS where I can go anywhere. Well, depending on how HRC shakes out, there's been times where it's like, hey, we need a 42 alpha here. Like, he's going here. Yeah. But there's no slots for her MOS there. Mm-hmm. But there's slots for her MOS in Virginia. Say I'm going to Georgia, she's going to Virginia. That can happen. The Army will try to keep you together at all costs, but sometimes it's just like, hey, y'all have to be separate. And that's what you call a GO bachelor. At that point, it's like, hey, y'all work out however y'all gonna do as far as the kids for how we gonna do split up BAH and who's gonna stay in the barracks if you're under E6, because E6 you're entitled to BAH regardless if you're single or married. Mm-hmm. So but this is for E5 and below. Hey, I gotta go here, she has to go there. At that point, you are a GO bachelor. So that can be hard, because nobody wants to split up their family.
When you're GO bachelors, like if we didn't have kids and they split us up and we become GO bachelors,
you would not get BAH.
You would not get BAH, no. And you would be in the dorms, right?
You would be in the barracks.
You'd be in the barracks,
and your spouse would be in the barracks.
And that sucks.
Yes.
That really sucks. But that's something that can't happen, so that could be a con for people who don't have kids. And if one person take both of the kids and then the other person don't, they will put that person who don't have any kids in the barracks.
And right. You would not have right. You would not be entitled to BAH or BAS.
But then you would split the kids up. But who really want to split the kids up?
I mean, if you're in different states, that's very, very hard.
Yeah.
So, like I said, unless you're E6, because if you're E6 at that point, it doesn't matter because you're gonna get BAH regardless. Right. The only difference is you'll get without dependent rate rather than with dependent rate, because your spouse is in another state with the children. Mm-hmm. Which kind of ties into our fourth con, which is different duty stations. And like I said, this is a quick topic because it only refers to people with special MOSs where I can only go so many places. If you're a 42, if you're a 92 Yankee,
if you are what's the drivers?
88 Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're 88 Mike, you're a cook. You're S6, which is commo. Like I don't care what kind of unit you're in. Everybody needs human resources. Yeah. Everybody needs supply. Everybody needs to be able, logistics basically, that's for. You need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to move stuff. Like that is everyone.
Legal. We forgot about legal.
Legal, right. Yes. Everyone needs those type of MOSs. Yeah. So if you're one of those MOSs, like
it's everywhere.
You kind of have nothing to worry about. Cause
I feel like it's only get difficult when you do have those like limited MOSs, but also when you start to get all these tabs behind your name, like Ranger and SF.
But that it kind of doesn't matter because I can go to Ranger school and be Ranger qualified, but at the end of the day, I'm still a 42. So being Ranger qualified doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, yeah, you're Ranger qualified, which is cool, but there's no job within the Army that HRC looks at. It's like, hey, we want a Ranger qualified 42 unless you're going to Ranger Regiment. And that's different because I go to Ranger school and I still can't go to Ranger Regiment. I have to go to another set of training to be in Ranger Regiment. So like I said, if you're just regular conventional Army, all of that doesn't matter. It's mainly on your MOS. So like I said,
long as the two have similar or MOS that's not limited, then it shouldn't be a problem being at the same duty station. Also MPs. Every duty station needs MPs to control them soldiers. But and then we didn't really touch on the opposite schedule, but the opposite schedule, because we said the same schedule, but your opposite schedule would be like if one person, um, give me an example.
Oh, you talking about like if I have a jump and you don't?
Yeah, like if he
Yeah.
have a jump or
Oh, I got
if
staff
he
duty
staff duty
and
and
she doesn't. So at
or
that
we
point,
both he have staff duty and I have
right?
CQ or
Yeah. Because at that point we're both on 24-hour operations, so we have to
right.
find someone to watch our kids basically for 24
Yeah.
hours.
So it can be things like that, or if his PT is different, like I'm at 0630 like the rest of the army, but his 2P, he's in 2P and they have PT at 5. So I mean, it's just it's just different things like that that may differ because every
I maintain the right.
Because every, what am I trying to say, battalion or
every battalion / brigade or division is different.
It's
so
different.
Like 82nd is the only place that I know of that does PT from 0630 to 8. Everywhere else, Army standard is 0630 to 0730.
And he was like the
PT.
only soldier, or they were the only soldiers that I knew that had only a 30-minute lunch when the rest of the army had an hour
battalion.
and a half.
Yeah, that was battalion. Like we staff was on different. Like if you in an S shop or you worked at the battalion, 30-minute lunches, my boy.
So, because normally you have lunch
11:30
from
to
1300 to 1300, and they were going from 12 to 12:30.
Yeah.
That sucks. But it's things like that that you may have to. But if both of y'all units are cool, and y'all both have chill MOSs, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But I think that's it for this video. I did think about joining y'all. I actually went to a recruiter. Your girl got to lose 16 pounds. But we just kind of discussed our pros and our cons, and we thought, oh, this would be a nice video. Let people know about being dual military and the pros and the cons of it. If y'all could think of any other pros or any other cons that could kind of help us with our decision, let us know. Also drop in the comments below if your girl should join. Army strong. But
it doesn't for
another
military Monday.
Mondays.
Just be on the lookout for different videos. I'm gonna touch different bases, man. If you out there and you want to join the military, hit us up. I'll answer all questions. Or if you in the military and you be like, hey man, you should do a video on this, hit me up, man.
We're very friendly.
Yeah, if I know about it, I'll definitely do a video about it. If I don't, me and you will chop it up and I'll learn something new, because you learn something new just about almost every day in the military. So, for me, with my wife, this is everything with the land doors.
Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get updates on every time we post a new video. And until next time, we're gonna see y'all later.